All right, we get it rolling on the Krueg Show. Friday, July the 28th, warm day in Santa Clara. Training camp practice number 3 in the books. We got a lot to talk about. One of my favorites in the house, Guy Haberman from Haberman and Middlecoff. Guy does a great job doing play-by-play on college football. You can catch him on a couple different networks. And, of course, he's got his long-standing podcast with the great John Middlecoff, former NFL scout. And he was down in Santa Clara today. And I thought, man, let's chop it up and talk a little bit about training camp. Guy, good to see you, man. Again,
that's the
long
beauty
time
of the
no see.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We're just sitting there today, and you said, "What are you doing later? You want to stream?" I said, "Okay."
Seriously, and I love. We had you and Johnny on about a month ago, and it was very well responded to by the Krueg Show audience. They really enjoy both you guys, and you were down in Santa Clara today, and it was, I thought today, now you never want to overreact to any individual practice. And let's be honest, they haven't even put on the pads yet. So it's like, I always tell myself, pump the brakes, wait till the pads come on. But today I thought was a shocking day at 49er camp from the standpoint of, I did a whole video on the good and the bad, and I had, Brock Purdy looking good today. Sam Darnold, I thought, looked great today. We talked to Sam Darnold after practice. But the guy who we also talked to after practice that I thought had a horrendous day was Trey Lance. And, I find this kid to be so compelling. He's so easy to root for because he's a sweet kid. He's trying hard. He wants this dream. He's all about football. Football's the family business. His dad played in the Canadian League. I scouted his dad in the mid-'90s, Carleton, when he was with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I'm rooting for Trey, but, man, I don't know if it's just today, but it just seems like Sam Darnold has a lot of momentum on this number 2 quarterback job. I thought Darnold threw a couple dimes today, and not only did Trey struggle, he completed either 1 of 4 or 2 of 5, depending on who you talk to. I thought the body language was awful. There were times when he was just kind of looking down. There was one where he dropped back to pass, looked through one window, didn't get it. Then he looked to another window, didn't get it, and started running. And in the midst of that, you heard somebody right behind the players and the coaches are all lined up behind him. And at some point I heard somebody said, throw the ball, throw it right in there. And I don't know. And obviously it wasn't coming from the media. And I just feel like Trey is losing confidence. And then we talked to him. Give me your takeaway. You were at practice. Give me your takeaway, both from the practice and from our little interview session with him afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, he could have been, I thought today was a great example of why. And everyone, a lot of different guys, a lot of different reporters, not just guys, a lot of different people keep track of the completions and incompletions.
Right.
And I'm glad they do it in part because it also gives us how many, the rep count to me is significant. And the rep count is eye-opening. To me, the rep count is far more important when you've got 4 quarterbacks than the completions and incompletions for an individual day. Now, the total after we get to 3 weeks of football, now those numbers add up to something, right? 60% or 70% or 55% or whatever. But I thought, forget about the numbers. Trey's 2 misses were the worst kind of misses, 2 of the worst types of misses in a Kyle Shanahan offense. I thought, and I did a stream earlier, and one of the things I put up was the quote from Brandon Allen yesterday. Mayoko wrote about it, in which he described what's necessary to run Kyle Shanahan's offense. And it was basically put the ball where it's supposed to be when it's supposed to be there. And, I today was logging throws above replacement. How many throws guys made above just a regular replacement level throw. And the fact is there aren't a lot of spectacular throws today. Kyle Shanahan doesn't give 2 rips. Kyle Shanahan cares more about, I made some names for throws today. One was throws above replacement.
Okay.
This is my Habermetrics or Guy football focus, Larry.
Okay.
The other is price of admission throws. Another way to say a layup throw. But This is if you're going to be Kyle Shanahan's quarterback, this throw is the price of admission. Doesn't mean he's going to love you. Doesn't mean he won't replace you. But for him to consider making you a starter, you have to make these price of admission throws. And those are the easy throws and the open throws. And for Trey to put a ball at Braden Willis's feet and to put a ball at Jordan Mason's feet today in the flat, it is a price of admission throw. They weren't even close misses. Those were significant throws. When you combine it with Darnold making some really professional throws today. So yeah, I have Darnold ahead of Trey today. And I'm somebody who said in OTAs, I didn't think Darnold was any better than Trey in OTAs.
I agree.
And I didn't think Darnold was better than Trey on the first day, but he's been better than Trey the last 2 days. And then you look at the snap counts, Larry, and the starter has 21, and then 2, 3, 4 in whatever order are all very close. And so there's a competition going on there that goes beyond just the number 2 quarterback.
The pass to Braden Willis, it's like he didn't give him a chance at it. You got a back who's in the flat, moving away from the quarterback, and he threw it where he couldn't even get a finger on it. It was so
he did the same
low.
Thing yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and it's at his feet as he's moving away from Trey. That is a layup. That is, it's like Kyle is thinking when he's calling that play, okay, we're going to have, 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4, and then all of a sudden you're staring at 2nd and 10. Those are just yards that you cannot. Pro quarterbacks have to be able to complete those passes with consistency.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've maintained this entire offseason that from my mind. And I've taken a lot of criticism from the Trey Lance fans, of which I am one, by the way. But I'm taking a lot of criticism from the people who just pushed back hard on my assessment of this. My assessment of this was that the Niners went through the season, then didn't, like all football teams do, they did a football evaluation, and the coaches do it, the players do it, the front office does it, maybe even the Niners have a whole analytics team. They probably do it as well. And coming out of that into the combine, I think we got a glimpse at their mindset. And to me, I just read that as they're going to recommit to Brock and they're going to move on from Trey if they can get a fair price. And I think the reason they haven't moved on from Trey is because they haven't been able to get a fair price. They don't want to look bad. To me, that's been the theme of this offseason. Recommit to Brock as the starter and move on from Trey Lance. And people say, well, wait, move on from Trey Lance. Otherwise, why is Sam Darnold here? Why is Brandon Allen here? Those guys are part of a process that includes moving on from Trey Lance. Do you think I'm misreading that? I mean, Shanahan's, let's be totally honest about this. People are like, he's never said that. They're never going to say that. There is no advantage in devaluing an asset. They're never going to devalue an asset that they're attempting to trade. And people won't even necessarily agree with me, Guy, that they are trying to trade him. But they did, sure enough, going into the draft, clear enough cap room to trade him if they had gotten an offer. And I believe they never got an offer. I don't know what their asking price is, but that's my sense of the situation. And now here we are in camp. Brock's healthy, and he's getting all of the first team reps, and Trey and Sam, and to a lesser degree, Allen, are splitting the rest of the reps. And it just really, and then you hear guys like, you hear so many people talking up Sam Darnold. Steve Young said recently that he thinks Sam Darnold can flourish in this system. There seems to be like a lot of momentum for Darnold. And then you got Kyle kind of talking up Brandon Allen. I think Brandon Allen's deep ball is a miss, just he's in the vicinity of the receiver, but he can't put it on a receiver anything more than 20 yards down the field. So he's just kind of spraying it down the field. But he also has $1 million contract. Right. He could be the number 3 guy. That's what I see. I see the 49ers recommitting to Brock and attempting to trade somebody, and that somebody is looking more and more like it's going to be Trey Lance if they can find somebody to take him at the price tag that he's currently making, the contract total that he has. I don't know if they can, but that's my read on it. What do you think of that?
Yes, I think it's very likely part of it. It's also likely, I think one thing I've learned over the years covering teams, you work for teams, you cover them for a long time. Sometimes it's silly how simple things are. And I try to remember that when it comes to Shanahan and the Niners. Like, I thought they were lying when they used to say the only reason they were looking for a quarterback is because Jimmy Garoppolo was hurt all the time. And my opinion at the time was, okay, that sounds good. That's a way to protect Jimmy, and it's a way to maintain whatever trade value you think he has, right? If you say we're replacing him because we don't think he's good enough, you are injuring his trade value as you try to improve his trade value. But then I watch the kind of quarterbacks, that have come since in this Trey era, and I think they're telling the truth to a degree. Like, I do think it's true that you need more probably than Jimmy Garoppolo to win a Super Bowl when you consider the AFC quarterbacks you're going to see in the Super Bowl. It doesn't mean you can't win a Super Bowl with Jimmy with a really good team. It just means it would help if you increased your odds a little. But I also think if Jimmy was never hurt, he would just still be their quarterback. They wouldn't have tried to replace him. In other words, I thought they were kind of lying, and I still don't think they were being totally truthful, but I think it might have actually been that simple. And I think part of the Darnold thing, yes, they have to find alternatives to Trey. They have moved off of Trey pretty quickly, partly because it's not like Purdy was just okay and that forced them to move off of Trey. Purdy was historic, and so they had to move off of Trey because of that. So that's an easy decision. That's fine. I think part of the simple answer to why Sam Darnold's here is because they like Sam Darnold and he became available. Like, I do think part of it is that simple. I think in 2018 in the draft, Baker Mayfield went 1. And what does everybody talk about in that draft? Josh Allen. If you'd only been in that draft, you could have drafted Josh Allen. If you'd only been in that, the Niners probably would have drafted Sam Darnold in that draft. If they hadn't gotten Jimmy Garoppolo, if they had gone to the end of the season and won a game, remember the Browns were terrible, so you had to win no games to be the number 1 team. Even if they'd won no games, the Niners would have been in a coin flip with the Browns for the first pick. So they probably would have had the second pick of quarterbacks. And I think they probably would have taken Sam Darnold, not Josh Allen, right? There's really nothing about Josh Allen that says Kyle Shanahan quarterback when you think about his college abilities. And you could argue the only reason Trey Lance is here is because of Josh Allen. Would you agree with that first before I go on? Josh Allen was not a Kyle Shanahan quarterback coming out of college. 56%.
Yeah, I mean, 56%.
Yeah.
Wyoming. He had to be coached up. There was, yeah.
So I think they like Sam, so they signed Sam.
I also think that Josh Allen, when Josh Allen made that play against them, when he threw that laser over, was it Fred Warner, like 40 yards down the field in a night game, national TV game? I think they're like, we want a guy like that. We want a guy who.
Remember Carson Wentz made some throws against them.
Yeah,
eye-opening. Yeah, but my point ultimately is, I think you're right. And then you watch the season play out, and they end up in a situation where they were gonna, if they somehow found a way to beat the Eagles without Brock Purdy, they were going to sign Phillip Rivers to play in the Super Bowl, Larry. Phillip Rivers was going to put on a 49ers uniform, study the playbook for 2 weeks, and then play in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. Like, that's what was about to happen. So, acquire quarterbacks by all means. Bring as many guys in here as you can. And Sam Darnold, they liked all. Kyle reasonably says quarterbacks are better when they play for me. And Sam Darnold has played for 2 bad teams. One of the coaches got fired. The other coach is coaching Nebraska. So, even without Trey, I think Sam Darnold's here because he fell in their lap. Sometimes things just kind of happen that way. Additionally, then you got Brandon Allen here. To me, Brandon Allen is more about Trey Lance than Sam Darnold is. If all you added was Sam Darnold, you really have to make no decisions. 3 quarterbacks is easy to manage. Why is Brandon Allen here? Brandon Allen is like the guy in the corner that nobody's focused on. I mean, I know we're all talking about it. I'm not saying nobody. But he's like in the corner, and he's actually the one with the money, right? He's not the maybe another way to think of it is like ownership. Sometimes ownership groups, the one who's front and center and does all the interviews, is not actually the money guy. The money question is not why is Sam Darnold here. The money question is when it comes to talking about Trey Lance, why is Brandon Allen over there in the corner getting as many reps as Trey and Sam? Because 3 quarterbacks is not a problem. 4 is absolutely a crowd. And it's like all that's real. All this stuff is right here in front of us, unemotionally. The numbers speak for themselves. Those 3 guys all get about the same number of reps today.
I know. What's shocking to me is I feel like Trey Lance sounds like a player and looks like a player that is losing confidence. And I'm not sure why. Is it because the presence of Darnold, the presence of Allen, he senses there's not a belief, that maybe the powers that be no longer believe. Is it? I don't know. I don't know. But what'd you think of the body language from Trey at practice? Because he has a couple. I mean, the bad throws are bad throws, and we can analyze that. Those are physical mistakes. But the body language when you're the leader and the quarterback on a football team's the leader, and he's looking down and he just looks defeated. And then there was a couple times where I felt like he missed the windows, knew he missed the windows. And the way he started to run was like, I'd like to just not be here right now. I'm going to run,
but I'm going to go somewhere.
I got to go somewhere. I missed both windows. I'll just run. And I brought this up a couple times last year as well. There were a number of training camp runs, and people were like, well, he took off, and people were like, wow, look at the speed. More times than not, if a quarterback drops back to pass, surveys the field, and starts running in training camp, that's generally not a good thing. That means that,
especially after what happened to Joe Burrow yesterday.
Exactly. The window opened, the window closed, and you got to do something.
Well, Purdy had multiple plays today where he was sacked. Purdy almost threw a pick to Isaiah Oliver that I think the play was over, and his option was either run, everyone stopped on the defensive line, or just screw it, I'll just throw it. That's what that was, right?
Right. It was a sack.
Yeah, I thought I love being body language doctor. I try not to be too hard on Trey today because I thought his body language was excellent the first day. And even yesterday, I thought it was excellent. Like, I think somebody asked me, and I think as a group, the 4 quarterbacks, like, do move, kind of talk, interact. They move as 4 when it comes to these drills. It's not one guy jogging with his head down. After Trey's second bad throw on the flat, he did the clap hands together, that sort of thing. It's hard to know. Was that damn bad miss by me? Or was that, oh my God, this is so bad. I can't believe this is happening to me. Either way, he's aware of this. There aren't that many opportunities. And that is the throw. He's probably thinking, I'm going to hear about that one in film. Because he knows that's the throw. That throw right there is the one I'm going to hear about. And that's the one I have to make because that's the one Purdy makes. And that's the one that, like you said, Brandon Allen cannot, his deep ball is not even close to catchable. Trey's is. But that's not, Kyle would rather you hit that one on the flat than that you hit the deep ball. So I haven't been in that room to watch Trey I think watching a guy in person is far more valuable than watching a guy on a screen in terms of a press conference. I had somebody ask me today if I thought Trey's body demeanor was bad in the press conference. I'd be lying if I said I've sat in front of him enough to have as good a feel. You and some other people who are there who have been there more watching him talk. I didn't think it was bad. How could he have the confidence of the starter? He's not. I mean, he's gone from the starter last year, like clear cut, no doubt my team, to clearly it's not his team. He's not the starter, and he's in a battle for the number 2 spot, and he's got another guy with him battling for the 3rd spot. So I think it's hard. Also today, if I were to defend him, I'd say there was no crowd today. There was a crowd the first 2 days. A little easier to get your body going, to get your hype going. But I wonder if after yesterday he put a little more pressure on himself because yesterday was not a great day. And then you come out today thinking I got to be better today, and then you're not, And then I think it's probably naturally difficult to split reps with 3 other guys. That's a lot of standing around and waiting for your next rep. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much to read into how bad it was, Larry, but I think it's fair to say it wasn't good.
The thing that makes, if there wasn't a money factor, then I don't think this is this is a real juicy debate, because you've got Brock, who's the starter, and then you've got Trey and Sam, and those are your three quarterbacks. But then you look at the money side of it, and you could look at it one way and go, hey, you know what? The total quarterback room is going to cost you $15 million, and that's a bargain.
Didn't they pay Blaine Gabbert? Like, what'd they pay Blaine? Remember that? It was like, yeah, you paid Blaine $6 million, but the quarterback room's still cheap.
Right. But I mean, on the other hand, you do have a loaded team for 2024 and a lot of guys with big cap figures and the ability to roll over money. I just don't know do the 49ers, I mean, what's that going to do to Trey Lance's confidence if he is number 3? I mean, isn't that just going to ruin the kid if he's number 3? After last year being number 1?
Maybe they would say maybe, is it possible there's a world in their mind where he just will not be the third quarterback? Like, what's the point? Okay, first of all, I went and looked at every third string quarterback in the league as far as who they are and what they make. They all make about $1 million, and they signed Brandon Allen to a contract for $1,080,000. So they basically gave him third quarterback money to come here. So to me, it's like Brock's your starter. He's your one. Brandon Allen's your $1 million third string quarterback. And Sam Darnold and Trey Lance are competing to be number 2. I just don't know that the 49ers are going to pay 9 times what the league average is for the third string quarterback, for their third string quarterback, if it's Trey Lance. With this many good players? Not unless they think they can keep 4 quarterbacks somehow.
And how do you do that? 4 quarterbacks on an NFL team?
All on the 46 man.
Right. I mean, Brandon Allen would make $207,000 on the practice squad. He's going to be either the number 3 guy making $1,080,000, or he's going to be somebody else's number 2 or number 3, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, when you look around the list, I did it yesterday when Joe Burrow got hurt. Look around the league at who the backup quarterbacks are. Trevor Siemian's their other guy, and then it's Jake Browning, right? Like,
right.
Brandon Allen's a better option. So
he was there last year as a number 2.
But is there a trade? Is there a point where it comes where you just take anything for him? I think you know who I thought of today?
Who's that?
Trey Sermon. The way that Kyle put Trey Sermon on display last year, or has put Trey Sermon on display before. Was that last year or the year before?
Well, they drafted him 2 years ago. Last year he lost.
Remember, he got a bunch of gig. But remember, he got a bunch of carries in the preseason game.
Right.
And I wonder if they're going to try and make Trey Lance look as good as possible in that first preseason game.
It's an unbelievable situation, but I felt like today, I felt like I was seeing a quarterback that had lost confidence. That's what the body language said. And then it's rare that we get a chance to talk to the same player who showed the bad body language. Yeah. And then he stepped into the interview room and he seemed really uncomfortable. Nice kid, answered all the questions. But some of the questions were, hey, you were the starter and now you're the number 3. And what have you been told? And he's like, I haven't been told anything. He's like, there's been no dialogue. And I asked him, hey, it seems like there's a good vibe in your room. And he's like, yeah, we all are in the same boat. We're, young guys developing at the same time. And, but when the 49ers go to talk about Trey Lance, I've never heard them really compliment his football that much. They're always talking about him as a kid and what he's like and how hard he works and how much he's improving but never football wise. It's always like personality type things. I don't know. Today just seemed like a really bad day. Maybe it's just a bad day. They haven't even put on pads, but it just seems like Trey is losing confidence. And to me, he sounded a lot less confident. And I turned to Grant Cohn after the interview was over, and I'm like, Grant, we just talked to Trey in minicamp. He seems a whole lot less confident today than he did then. And he's like, I agree. It's like I don't know what's going on. And I don't know if it's the presence of Darnold, the presence of Allen, the struggles in year 3, if it's the the fact that Brock's the number one guy, that he's not getting reps. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but he didn't look confident, and then he didn't sound confident. And it just makes me think that my initial take early in February was they're going to commit to Brock and they're going to move off Trey Lance. And I think if you said to me, what's your take on it right now? That's my take.
That's the way it looks to me right now too. And how could you not be discouraged if you're him to some degree for everything that everybody in a competitive situation tries to do? He's not competing to win the job and then, okay, worst case, he'll be the backup. And hey, somebody gets hurt, I'm going to have a shot. That's not this situation. And then you look up and Sam's good, right? Like, I don't know if Sam is going to be a good player in NFL games again, but I know if you showed up the last 2 days of practice and didn't know anything about anybody's contract status or depth charts, you would not lean Trey Lance over Sam Darnold, right?
And Sam had a couple dimes today. The throw to Ray McLeod against was it Womack or Diamador Lenore down the left sideline? I don't know if it was even a completion.
But it was Womack. It was incomplete.
It was a flat dime. It was just like absolutely dropped it in the bucket, 38 yards away from the line of scrimmage.
He had, I thought, 3 throws that were, the analogy I made is when you go to a Major League Baseball game and you see them turn a double play where it's like a backhand by the shortstop, he's got to spin, gets it to the second baseman who's got to spin. Like when you see a pro level double play, it just looks crisper and better, and it's no other double play looks that way. And Sam made 3 throws today that were, one of them, like, even if they weren't excellent, they were just big league throws. One was the throw you're talking about. He made a seam throw to Elijah Mitchell with Curtis Robinson on his back that usually it's like the kind of ball that Kittle catches. It was a gorgeous throw. And then he made a throw to Jennings. Now, Jennings one-handed it, but it was
great catch. But catch of the day.
It was a great catch, but it was not it wasn't a perfect throw. But that throw, when you're throwing it to Juwan Jennings, is an appropriate throw, right? And it was just, to me, you could just, when I saw that throw, it was a lot of traffic. I thought, that's what it looks like in a game. And then everyone jogs up 40 yards after the big pickup. And it just, that was a game level throw. I thought he made 3 game level throws today. And this is the thing. I said earlier that Kyle Shanahan values the price of admission throw over the throw above replacement. But Trey's not making the throws above replacement either. Like, that should be the spot where you go, okay, he's not going to hit any singles, and on-base percentage is going to be close to his batting average, but he's going to hit home runs, right? Isn't that, like, that's why you draft Josh Allen, is for the home runs, and then you build the other stuff in. But if he's not going to hit the home runs also, then what are you getting? And that's where, his best argument is, hey, when the game starts, I can hit home runs that other guys can't hit. They don't run zone reads anymore in practice.
I know. They don't. GPK all day says now Larry is tripling down on his trade Lance take. LOL. I don't know what to say. GPK.
What is you said earlier? Value. What do you have any number? What is value for Trey Lance in your mind at this point?
It's low because you're talking about a guy who makes more money than he's contributing right now. So he's making $9 million. He's got the 5th highest cap hit on the team at $9 million. The other thing is, if you trade for him and you discover that he's not the guy, then good luck trading him. So then you're going to be taking a cap hit to move on from him. If he had a lower contract, I think there's a chance that there would be more of a market. But I mean, I don't know what to say about it. I really don't know what to say. And then the other part of this is that Sam Darnold, he had a good day yesterday and he had a good day today, but he also sounds like a guy who's got a new lease on life. And he sounds like a guy who really believes he's going to be here. Would you agree with that? He said today he was complimenting Brock Purdy. He's like, that boy's got poise. And, he sounded like very comfortable on this team, talking like he's going to be on this team, where Trey seemed really nervous, really fidgety, real nice kid. Nothing. I don't have a bad thing to say about Trey Lance. I really don't. I think he's handling things beautifully, but he sounds like he's nervous about his career, about his position, that he's uncertain, he lacks confidence. Where Sam seems very confident that he's going to be here and that, that he's going to be a part of this mix.
I agree, but I also think Sam, first of all, if we lined up 30 quarterbacks, Sam would be in the top end of guys just super comfortable with themselves and their situation as professional quarterbacks. Like somebody said, Sam, you ever been in this situation before? And he said, yeah, last year, and laughed.
Right.
Like he was the New York Jets' 3rd overall pick, went viral for saying, I see ghosts, and then got run out of town in New York. Then he got paired with Baker in Carolina and Matt Rule's sinking ship. So he's seen a lot of shit. On top of that, he was a premium prospect and he played at USC. He's just been in the spotlight. And I know a lot of, you just know people over the years that know him well. I think it's fundamentally who he is. I would say he's more comfortable than Trey with all that, with the press conference stuff. But you know what? He's way more comfortable than Brock than it too. You just get the feeling that if you were hanging out on a Friday night with Trey and with Brock and with Sam, you'd get a much more loose Trey and Brock than you get at the podium. I think you get the same Sam. Like he is comfortable being fully himself up there. I'm not saying he's telling jokes up there, but like he's been through the ringer, man. And he's been famous for a long time. And it's just normal to him. I mean, Brock was a major prospect and a major college quarterback, but he wasn't at USC and the Jets. And Trey was not in the spotlight at all until he arrived here. So, I think you could, and I think it's partly just who Darnold is. I think you could put Darnold a lot of places and you'd go, I think that's the most comfortable quarterback here. I just think, like, I thought watching Trey's body language day 1 versus day 3 was very different. Sam's has been the same the whole time. And it's not like when you walk out there, you don't go, oh, I could tell by Sam's swag, he's the starter. It's not that. He's just easygoing, and it really, in some ways, maybe gives him an advantage in this situation. Even I think Brock's probably got a lot going on in his mind. Brock had no reps last year, basically. He becomes a superstar, household name, busts his arm. Easy for us to say he was going to come back, no problem, no matter what, but he's the one under the knife, not us. So he probably thought, could this be it? They hit the wrong nerve. Who the hell knows? Then he comes back into a situation that he was on the other side of last year, and he took somebody's job. So I bet even if you're him walking in, it's a little uncomfortable. Darnold, I think it's – I agree with you. This is a long answer, but I think it's partly just who Sam is, which I'm sure Kyle likes.
What's the end game here? How's this going to go?
Well, my opinion is that they should keep everybody as long as possible.
Because of last year? Because
they have a rich tradition of hurt quarterbacks. They have a rich tradition of quarterbacks, and then more. If we went through their museum, we'd see the rich history of quarterbacks, and then we'd see the newest gallery, which is a rich history of hurt quarterbacks. And I would be if you told me Trey Lance plays games for them this year, I'd say, there's a chance that looks okay. Like, I'm not totally giving up on that, but I think we've got to recognize there's a reason Brandon Allen's here. And so far, Sam Darnold's done what I think they wanted him to do, which is look like the second best quarterback on the team. So, I don't know how this plays out. The Niners are filled with curveballs.
Right.
But right now, today, the look of it is, if we just look at this thing on paper, you look at where the reps are and you look at where the money is, and you go, Trey Lance may not be here much longer.
It's amazing. So it's absolutely stunning development, really, if you think about it. A couple last minutes with Guy Haberman. Mike Silver talked to Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan, when talking about Sam Darnold, talked about Steve Young. And that it took Steve Young a while, as if, Sam Darnold's got that kind of potential. There were people that thought that about Sam Darnold coming out. I'm not necessarily in the Sam Darnold camp because I saw him turn it over a lot at SC. I've seen him turn it over a lot in the pros. I saw his final game last year against Carolina. He had 2 fumbles and 2 interceptions. Only, he lost one of the fumbles. One of those interceptions was on 1st and 10. I just never been a Sam Darnold fan. But now I'm also hearing from people today at practice that Steve Young thinks that Steve Young told a guy that I was talking to today at practice that he thinks Sam Darnold can be really, really great in this offense. What do you think? I mean,
I think he might be able to be. I think he might have his best years ahead of him, but that is not a result of me watching him, which I did, just like you did and a lot of people did, in games and go, oh, there's something here that is untapped. That was not my opinion. I've never quite, seeing him in person, I can see he has a very easy, the ball comes out of his hand easy and hot. I've never thought watching him play in games that his like big arm really plays in games as a big arm, as like a plus arm. It plays as a more than good enough, good NFL arm. I haven't thought it played like big the way that Herbert's arm or Josh Allen's arm plays, right? So like, that's always been one of the things that people have said. And when I watch him in games, I've not thought it translated, but he has a good NFL arm. So anyway, the reason I feel his best football might be ahead of him is because generally that is what, Kyle Shanahan does for quarterbacks, is gets their best football. So I think he's in the right place. If it's going to work, it's going to work here. Now, is he going to be on the field enough to show that? Like, for all of this, he might be good. Play that situation out then. Play out the scenario where Sam Darnold becomes a great quarterback. What happens to Brock Purdy? So, in other words, it's only going to get weirder if somehow Sam Darnold turns into a really good NFL quarterback, because it means he's playing in games. But anyway, yeah, I think he's got good football ahead of him potentially, but it's not because I thought when I watched the film I saw promise. It's because one thing you have to say unequivocally with Kyle is he's not he did not develop Trey, but he knows how to make quarterbacks look their best once they're on the field.
2 last questions. What if you and John Middlecoff do a great podcast together? What has been, if you could share with us your general assessment of what we saw last year in Brock Purdy? Do you guys believe that it's sustainable? What have you said? What has John said? Have you changed your thoughts at all on Purdy? From what you saw last year to this moment
to practice. What I've said consistently the whole time is this is awesome. If you take the numbers from last year and double them out, or apply a 17 game rate to them, they are like MVP almost level numbers. He's probably not that level of player, right? The guys that put up those numbers do have a higher level skill set than he has. Doesn't mean he can't be that guy. There have been exceptions to the rule. I just don't love, predicting exceptions to the rule that aren't like physical exceptions. I think there is I think there is a likelihood, in fact, that there is some level of quote unquote regression. In other words, he throws a few more picks than he did last year relative to the number of touchdowns he throws. But I also think that he did a lot of really impressive stuff that a lot of people in his spot, even if you say they weren't asked to do what Mahomes is asked to do, would not have been able to do. I've seen guys do it for a game. I've seen guys do it for 2 games. We all have. You watch one game of Ben DiNucci and you're like, oh, that was cool. Or you watch Taylor Heineke, you're like, oh, that was cool. To see it happen over and over and over and over again in the level of pressure games that Niners played in, playing for Kyle Shanahan, which while he can elevate you, requires quite a bit of intellectual capacity to play for him. So I think it's likely that it was real to a degree. I think he's going to have to go through a low to get back to another high at some point. That's the way this always goes. Careers, if you're going to play a 10-year career, they're going to start throwing you curveballs. And now, can you hit the curveball? Or are you going to be 196 like Casey Schmidt has been since he came up on fire for the Giants, right? So I think there's a lot of promise there. I was 100% all in on he's your number 1 quarterback. He has earned that. And you got to hope that he gets he's going to get better. But John and I interviewed Kyle Juszczyk, and one question I asked Kyle
that was good stuff.
Well, I'd be interested what you think. Because I said to Kyle, like, what do you think? You've been around young quarterbacks.
He said that around he said Trey was beloved in the locker room.
Yes,
by
he did
by
say
the players.
Yes, he did. He made a point to say that. But my question was, you've been around a lot of quarterback changes, evolutions, like you've seen guys come and go. What do you think? And Kyle seems like he knows the offense better than any other 49er, including the quarterbacks. What do you think defenses are going to do to him this year? What's he going to have to adjust to? And he said, well, good question. I don't, in the sense that, like, I'm not sure. He said, but he already had to adjust to them last year. They started pressuring him. He already had to make one adjustment. He played long enough that defensive coordinators watched his tape, adjusted to him, and he had to adjust back. So he thought that was impressive. Like, his point was he's already done it once. They already started throwing him curveballs, and he hit the curveballs. So it's not like he only saw fastballs last year. So I thought that was interesting.
This chat here from Mega Triumph, he says Vikings want Lance, Raiders are interested in Lance. He's calling him Lancer, but I think we know what he means, Trey Lance. If the 49ers are going to move on, do you see a next land? And I'm not saying they are, but I'm just saying this thing is trending. I was there, you were there. This is trending towards Brock is your 1, Darnold's your 2. So Trey Lance is either going to be the $9 million third quarterback, or they are going to try to move on. If they opted to move on, where do you see a natural next landing spot for Trey Lance?
I don't think there's a natural spot. Atlanta has come up. I don't know what they think of Desmond Ridder there. I don't think he's the future, but I don't know. Maybe they survived last year with less than great quarterback play, right? So maybe they really want to give him a shot. John has had a theory for a while that you put Trey Lance on display for the Raiders at like if he practices really well
in Vegas next week,
practices well against them, then plays well against them.
2 weeks, I guess.
Yeah, 2 weeks. The 13th is when the game is. We know they have an owner that is down to metal a little bit.
They don't have their future quarterback.
Now, Jimmy did pass the physical. So
they have a great relationship, though.
What's that?
Jimmy and Trey have a great relationship.
Yeah, what I meant was if you got to next week and like he had still not been cleared for practice, it really would have sped that up. So anyway, there was one. It'd be interesting to see, and this is, they waited to the last minute last year waiting for an injury. If Skylar Thompson got drafted ahead of Brock, they paid Mike White right in Miami. Tua, provided he's healthy. There's probably not what I'm getting at is if Mike McDaniel happened to like him. What if Robert Saleh liked him? No pressure to be Aaron Rodgers' backup, right?
Would you flip if the Jets called tomorrow, guy, and said we'll give you Zach Wilson? Would Shanahan say yes?
Yeah,
I agree. And the Jets have $15.9 million on the cap, by the way. As far as the Raiders,
you want to take Zach. You don't want to take Zach Wilson.
Raiders only have $4.8 million on the cap. They'd have to figure something out.
You don't want Zach Wilson's money, so you may not solve the problem that you have here, right? If you like Sam Darnold, you don't really want to do that deal because you don't want Zach Wilson. And Zach is not. I don't have people pounded the table like Juszczyk did, saying we love Zach Wilson. So you might make a weird situation weirder with Zach Wilson, actually.
Yeah, seriously.
Right? And who knows if you've signed Bosa by then, whatever. There was one other one I was going to throw at you. Who was
another
it?
team?
Yeah. These are all just
You said Did you mention Buccaneers?
I didn't say Buccaneers. No.
Raiders.
I think. Yeah. I mean, you could do it if the Bucs. I really think if you're
people have speculated Rams.
Would you trade him to the Rams? You know who might want him?
I don't know. I mean,
you know who might want him is Seattle.
Wow, that would be if he went to Seattle, found himself, and became great. That's almost a fireable offense.
It is. Kyle just dodges fireable. I mean, it's pretty incredible. They've pivoted from the quarterback situation. But what I was going to say is, if you're a bad team, like you should suck this year. You should not. I think anybody who wins 5 games. Now, if you're like the Lions and you win 5 games, whatever. But if you're supposed to be bad this year and you scrap your way to 5 wins, you are stupid. Like, you should be trying to win as few games as possible if you're going to be bad and get Caleb Williams. It will change your entire franchise. It'll change your coach. It'll change your GM. It'll change everything. He's that level of prospect, right? So, I think you'd be crazy to like try and win. Now, maybe that makes him a attractive candidate in like Tampa, where they've Tennessee. I don't know. Yeah, there's not an obvious place. Indy, do they want to try and develop 2 quarterbacks in Indianapolis?
Being Butterflies is Tennessee. Rand Carthon's there.
Yeah, I mean that one has logic. I mean, they just drafted Will Levis in the 2nd round, but
right. I'm not.
You know.
Hey, last one. We'll let you go. We already went longer than we said we were going to go, and I don't want to. I don't want to piss off your wife.
It's Friday
night. Yeah, you gotta get out on the town, baby. All right. Nick Bosa. My theory, and it's just a theory, is that Nick Bosa in the Niners. He was asked about the contract at minicamp. And he's like, what do you think you're going to get? Or how do you feel about it? And he's like, in Nick Bosa monotone voice, is like, I think I'm going to get what I deserve. That's all he said. I think I'm going to get what I deserve. But he said it in a way like, I know damn well what I'm getting. And I just feel like they've had so long to talk about this. I don't care if it's historic. I don't care if it's big money or big dollars or he's a unique player. I think that's all just blah, 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 blah. I think the reality is the only reason that you would ever be concerned about a holdout is, I don't know if the guy's in shape. This guy, is in shape. So there is no concern. I think the Niners are staring at their depth chart going, you know what? It's July 28th. If we sign Nick Bosa tomorrow, he's got to put on pads on Monday or whatever next week. And then there's always a chance he gets hurt. And I think the Niners would be totally fine with not having Nick Bosa show up until like August 15th. And I'm totally fine with it because if they don't have Bosa, their odds in Vegas to win the Super Bowl drop dramatically. I really think that they know what they're paying Bosa. Bosa knows what he's going to make. I don't buy this. Well, there's still a lot of talk going on. I don't buy any of that. I just think they're minimizing their risk, and they don't want him. They don't want to lose him in camp to an injury, and they know he's in shape anyway. So we'll get it done, but we'll get it done in a couple weeks. That's my theory.
Yeah, I mean, I don't totally subscribe to that. I do like your idea that they don't want him in pads, but I mean, I wouldn't want McCaffrey in pads, and he's in pads a little bit, right out there running around. And I wouldn't mind him getting a few reps next to Javon Hargrave if he could. I guess maybe he'll be next to Eric Armstead, whatever. Which, by the way, is an aside. People ask me about this. I don't know. You have a take on this? Like, do they need to sign another pass rusher? I don't see. When I look at their team, I don't see any point in that. I don't really care if Drake Jackson or Cleveland Ferrell wins the quote unquote starting job. One of them will get the start, and the other one will get some pass rush reps, and it'll be fine.
I think that, backup O linemen don't play unless there's injuries. Backup D linemen often play no matter what. And they lost how many snaps between Ebukam, Willis, and Amenahue. Beal had a good practice today. I thought he shined, but I'm a little nervous about the depth at defensive end. I would like to see one more defensive end of substance on this team. Like if you're going to trade Trey Lance, give me Montez Sweat.
Yeah,
and
I feel good. I wouldn't be interested if I were them in spending $4 million on, I don't know what Justin Houston wants, but I wouldn't spend that kind of money. I don't know if you would. Anyway,
I'd have to think about it. I probably would.
The Bosas are hardball players when it comes to contracts. And the Niners are hardball players when it comes to contracts. And they really, when you think about the contracts they've signed, they didn't really have any fear of Debo. They knew he had not been a perfect candidate for the massive extension. He knew it, and he had no leverage. Trent Williams was a true free agent, but it was pretty clear. The Chiefs are going to sign me tomorrow unless you guys sign me today. So that one was easy. Kittle signed a sizable contract, but he played a tight end that was a position that's easy to, I don't know if I want to say take advantage of, but you're not giving out the biggest contract on your team. They haven't really been in this spot with a guy like this who is happy. Has a history of we, the Bosas, will hold out, and I'm the best player in my position. And so what does that mean? That means that the second best player at that position might make $31 million. And I want 30. John had a theory the other day we were talking. He's like, I bet Bosa doesn't want 33. He doesn't want $1.5 million more. He wants 40. And when I say he, I mean, or whatever. His theory was just like, I bet the number is not $2 million more than the guy before him, right? I mean, Joey signed for 102. What was his guarantee? Like 102?
Yeah.
3 years ago. So my guess that the guarantee was going to be like 116. So yeah, I think the Bosa contract historically, you go, we're going to give you the biggest contract that any player that doesn't play quarterback has ever gotten. And the Bosas go, cool, but we're going to need more than that. Like, that's not enough. That's my theory, is just being the biggest is not enough. They think
35 a year.
Me. Yeah, maybe. I think they think the agent is saying, you need me. And I bet if we stare at each other for a month, you'll pay me what I want. So,
well, once again, if we get to
like
August,
said, he'll be in shape when he rolls in.
If we get to August 15th and he's not there, maybe I'll get nervous. Until then, I think it's a done deal. They're looking at him going, if we lose this guy, we're cooked. How about, and if he's here, we can't really not play him. We can't just sit him out every day. So that means we're going to have to play him a little bit. And any day we put him on the field, he could get hurt. Let's just not sign him until the middle of August.
What's the preseason turf situation? I guess these are all grass games.
Well, the Raiders practice outside on a grass field.
Yeah.
And then play inside on field turf.
No, they play on grass.
Is it grass?
Yeah, they
wheel that in and wheel it out.
Same thing as the Cardinals.
Okay.
I was just there last week. I had dinner at Allegiant Stadium because I'm fancy, and on the club level there was this dinner, and not club level, like the field club, and they actually there's a UNLV has a field in there, Larry, that's artificial. The Raiders currently have a turf field with Raiders logos and everything, paint on it, but it's just for show. It's not actually a field that it's just for like tours and stuff. It's probably UNLV's field. So yeah, it's grass. It's a grass. They wheel in grass. So that always matters. Thank God the Giants game's at home.
Could you name a Raider linebacker, by the way? I asked this question last night to Jesse and Vish in the stream. Can you name a Raider linebacker?
Navarro Bowman.
Rod Smith or Rod.
Think about this. Nick Bosa is going to get in guarantees probably twice the total value of Max Crosby's contract, which is like $55 million.
Jay Mills says Matt Millen. Yes, there you go. Phil Villapiano. They've named a Raider linebacker. You're telling me
they are still trying to plug that linebacker spot? They've been trying to plug that spot since Reggie McKenzie.
I feel like I know a lot about football, or at least a lot of football players. Here's the Raider linebacking core. Robert Spillane. I used to love Mickey Spillane's Mike Hammer. Darian Butler, Luke Masterson, Masterson, Curtis Bolton, Amari Burney, Kenai Mauga, Drake Thomas. The only name quality guy at all, and he's not really that name quality, but Divine Diablo. That's it. I've kind of heard of Divine Diablo. That's about it.
Why though? I'm saying I have too, but I'm not sure why.
He went to Vautech. I think he was a converted safety.
Oh, all I know is if the Niners signed Curtis Bolton, you would get that scouting report video out so fast.
Yeah.
That thing would have 5K views before breakfast.
Exactly.
Did you like?
Let me tell you about Curtis
Let
Bolton.
me tell you about Curtis Bolton. See this guy move?
You know me too well. I did a video the other day on former San Diego State linebacker Kaiva Tazzino. He wore 44 at San Diego State for the Aztecs.
Oh yeah, because
they signed him out of the USFL. So hey, when do you go live again with Middlecoff?
It'll be Monday or Tuesday. I'll be at practice Monday. I've got a ear, nose, and throat appointment Monday afternoon. Tuesday is August 1st. Tito's sponsorship kicks back up on August 1st. So it'll either be Monday or Tuesday.
I like that.
Yeah.
Guy, good seeing you, man. Everybody follow Guy on Twitter. He's a great follow. Check out him and Middlecoff on their YouTube channel, on their podcast, and keep it rolling, brother. We'll see you at camp. You said you're going to be there Sunday?
I will not be there Sunday. Probably I will be there Monday. I think Pads come on Monday, right? Not Sunday.
Pads come on Monday.
Yeah. I'll be there Monday.
All right, brother. Good to see you.
All right. Good seeing you, Larry. Thank you.
There you go. At Guy Haberman. Guy is the man. Charlie Higgs says Guy is the man. Brandon Simmons, new sponsor, Marin Auto Glass. That's right. We got a brand new sponsor, marinautoglass.com. Give him a call. My man Saeed owns Marin Auto Glass, 415-883-3030. All right, let's do a couple chats here when holding off on the chats. Got a couple interesting ones here. Got this one from Robbie439. Larry, did any percentage of your assessment that Trey Lance will definitely be a great player one day change at all these past 3 days? Not until today. But today, I'm wondering if he has enough belief in himself to get through the hurdles that face any young quarterback. He really looked defeated. I mean, he absolutely looked defeated. I don't even know any other word to use. He threw a couple of really bad incompletions today, but it wasn't that. It was the way he reacted to it. He's looking down. You're the leader of the football team. I mean, obviously there's Brock and there's, but you're a quarterback. The quarterback is the leader of the football team. You can get mad at yourself. You can swear. You can do a bunch of things. But when you look down and kind of walk back to the huddle, it reeks of defeat. So that was a horrendous sign. But there's no pads. And it's early. And maybe, I wanted to ask him. I just didn't have the nerve to ask him. I wanted to ask him about his confidence level. Like, when you've had questions in confidence, when you've questioned yourself in the past, what have you done to turn that page and move on from that and get that confidence back? But I didn't want to put that on him so early because I didn't want to act like what we saw today was that vital, because it is July 28th and they've yet to wear pads. But it was a bad look. I can deal with the incompletions. Those are physical mistakes, right? Though you hate to see them. And I'll say this: Kyle Shanahan, when he calls a little pass play into the flat, he's already in his mind calling his 2nd and 3 play or his 2nd and 5 play. And when he's looking at 2nd and 10, he's pissed off. So you have to make the layups. I mean, it's just simple as that. You have to make the layups in the NFL. You cannot, and this idea that this kid who's so raw and so young and so inexperienced was just going to work with Jeff Christensen, iron out a thing or two about his motion, and get mechanically sound, and then he was going to take Brock Purdy's job after all the nuances that Purdy demonstrated last year. I mean, that's just what? So, I mean, the people that were like, oh yeah, Purdy's never, he's going right on by. It's like, what do you know anything? It's like, come on, guys, come on. And people will say to me, oh, you're better than that sometimes. I would say that to the audience. You're better than that. There's a lot that goes into playing quarterback in the NFL. Brock has an unbelievable amount of poise. The ball comes out with touch and timing and with accuracy. Trey Lance does not have these traits right now. He's a great prospect. He's a great kid. He works hard. Someday, I do believe he's going to get there. And I'll stay with my original assessment that he's going to evolve and learn. But it's going to be a long road. It's not, you're not showing up in 3 weeks and this guy's going to be, oh yeah, he's dominating. Nope. No, it's not going to happen. There's not enough consistency. If you can't consistently hit the guy in the flat, then you're punting 2 or 3 times a game, probably when you shouldn't be. And if you're punting 2 or 3 times a game that you shouldn't be, guess what happens? You're not scoring points. And what have we seen in the Cardinal game? In almost every half of football that he's played, very little points being scored. It's not personal. Shame on anybody if it ever gets personal. But there's too much inconsistency right now to even consider the idea that he could beat out Brock Purdy. He can't beat out Brock Purdy right now. He's got upside potential, but he's raw and inconsistent. His mechanics are better. Like today, Grant or somebody else asked him about what he learned from Christensen and what he went. He didn't want to get into it. It was like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about what I've learned. It's not that it's trade secrets. I just think he feels like, I'm so far away from really contributing significantly that I don't want to get into what I learned because I'm not ready to look back on my growth when I have so much growth that's still yet to come. That was the read that I got on it. Very, very bad day today for Trey Lance. And I don't know what's worse, his lack of confidence or the physical mistakes that he just, the inaccuracies. You have to hit the layups. He didn't hit them today, but it's the reaction to it. I mean, I would encourage anybody, go watch the video of, and I'm going to put it out on the channel. I was there. I filmed it all. Kev's probably upstairs right now putting it out. Go watch the video of Brock at the podium. Go watch from yesterday. Go watch the video of Sam at the podium from today. Go watch the video of Trey at the podium from today. And tell me if you feel like that's a young man that has belief in himself or if that's a young man who's questioning himself. I see a young man who's questioning himself and whether he belongs. That's what I see. With Sam Darnold, I see a guy who seemingly looks like he's got a new lease on life, that he's thrilled to be here and that he thinks he's going to be here. With Brock, I see a guy who knows he's damn good and expects to be even better. That's what I see. I'd love to hear what you guys think and what you see. That's what I'm seeing. Let's hit a couple more of these. Scott, everything was handed to Trey, and now we're seeing he doesn't have much fight in him to actually compete for the job. Hope you're wrong about that. You might be right. I don't know. Today I couldn't believe it. It was stunning. It was absolutely stunning. Grant and I were sitting in the front row. We're 1 seat apart from each other. I literally turned to him. I'm like, I can't believe how much less confident he seems than the last time we talked to him. And Grant's like, I know. It's unbelievable. And then what we saw on the field were the same inconsistencies, but now like defeat. Like he's got this defeat on his mind. Like he's like I don't want to say he's broken because there's no pads. They haven't gotten to pads yet. He's not broken. But today was not a good day. Yesterday was not a good day, but today was easily the worst day. Braden Willis in the flat. It wasn't like there's a defender between Lance and Darnold, Lance and Willis. No defender. He didn't have to loft it over the defender into Willis's hands. Straight line, wide open, throws it down to his feet. Couldn't even get a finger on it. And everybody's like, oh. And then he missed a couple others that were really bad. Way high on one, way behind the guy on another. Ran a couple times when he wasn't supposed to run. And as I told you, I heard somebody yell, throw it. So, I mean, and I know enough. I've mentioned this to you guys many times. When you see quarterbacks run in training camp, for the most part, unless it's a designed run, and you can kind of tell where a designed run is, he probably just missed his window, and it's either take the sack and flip the ball back to Shanahan or the coach, whoever's there, or run. And so he runs. But that wasn't the ball's got to come out, and the ball's got to come out on time. Now, it's not unheard of. Brock had a play like that today where he was either going to have to run or just throw it late, and he threw it late. So it happens. It's not like it doesn't happen. It's not like it only happens to Trey. But, man, we've seen a lot of that last year, and we saw more of it today. We got this one from J49. Larry, please wear a sombrero and some SPF 100. I put on some lotion today, actually. Put on a lot of lotion. It's burning out there. I got to get a sombrero. It's just not like me to wear a sombrero. There are no pictures of me anywhere wearing a sombrero. But it might be time for the sombrero. Being butterfly. I still believe in Trey Lance. He might not remain on the 49ers, but I think in time he can develop into a quarterback. I agree. I'm with you. But today was bad. And this is looking, I'm not here to spin anything. I'm just here to tell you what I see and give you my honest opinions. My honest opinion is it looks like Brock's the number one guy, that Darnold's the number two guy, and that Trey Lance is struggling, and now there's an alternative for the number three position. What does that mean for Trey's future? I don't know. That's what I see. Chris Bean says, Krug, where was Trey after practice yesterday? I saw a video from David Lombardi of Brock and Sam getting extra work in. I don't know. I don't think hard work is Trey's problem, though. I think Trey puts in the work for sure. Michael Miller, Trey Lance is a bust. Have you seen a quarterback toss it in the dirt at 5 yards and knowing he can't be sacked, or missing a running back at five yards away from him by over 3 or 4 feet? Why are you all still talking about Trey Lance? I don't even have a counter to that. I mean, why are we talking about it? Because he was the third pick in the draft. And they traded 3 number ones and a number 3 to get him. Or I guess 2, whatever. You know what I'm saying. Eric Hernandez says, Larry, when are the Krueg Show hats available to purchase? Are you saying I need one? I may need a Krueg Show hat. I don't know. I'll ask Kev. You can go to the store at the Krueg Show on YouTube and order merch. And if anybody orders merch, I cut a video for. Jay Mills says, Lance, boy toys in a frenzy. There were no fans there today, so nobody saw today outside of the media members. I don't know what to say. Today was not a good day. It just absolutely was not a good day. Eric Dane says, Joe Montana's first full season, he had 19 touchdowns and 12 picks. That's barely better than Tom Brady. He must be a bust too. Gregis Khan, who's trading for Lance? I think if Lance made the league minimum, there'd be all kinds of teams that are interested. But at $9 million, I don't know. $9 million. Who's interested in a $9 million quarterback who's not quite ready to play right now? Maybe somebody suffers a quarterback injury and they had a high grade on Trey coming out. I don't know. Guy said maybe the Raiders. I'd take Michael Mayer, the tight end from Notre Dame, back. I'd even throw in a pick. Mega Triumph says Vikings want Lance. Raiders are interested in Lance. I already put that one up there. Always Drip 805. If the 49ers move on from Trey, somebody's got to get fired and pay that price. Nobody's getting fired. Nobody's getting fired. And that's going to be the next one. It's going to be like, who's to blame? We love the blame game. Are you going to fire Kyle Shanahan? Like 3 other coaches are going to get fired like the same day because there'll be a bidding war for Shanahan. You're going to fire John Lynch after he's built one of the deepest rosters in the NFL? You're going to fire 2 guys who have been in the NFC Championship game in 3 of the last 4 years? Really? Guys, Jameis Winston went 1. Bust. Marcus Mariota went 2. Bust. Go look it up. First-round quarterbacks. Look at the bust rate. There's a high bust rate. Not saying Trey's a bust. I'm just saying if he was, he wouldn't be the first. Kid Icarus. I like that. 5. Kid Icarus 5. Kyle never wanted Trey. I disagree. You know, you think your argument is that he wanted Mac Jones and that they traded up and somebody else convinced him to go with Trey. I know they wanted a rookie quarterback. Go watch the TK podcast with Shanahan where he basically said, hey, look, we knew we needed to take a rookie quarterback. And he even said it at the time. He's like, you know, we looked around, we saw what kind of team we had. We knew we had to take a risk. Well, they took a risk and they preferred Trey Lance to Mac Jones because of Trey, the person, and because of his upside potential. And guess what Trey still has today? He's still a great person, and he still has that upside potential. So are they going to see it through to completion, or are they going to get cold feet and move on? J49 says, F Zach Wilson. I think it's Z-A-C-K, but I hear you. I like Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson's got talent. But Zach Wilson played at BYU, and he played in a totally clean pocket at all times. And you never play in a totally clean pocket. You have to be able to play in a pocket that's muddy. You got to play in a pocket where there's guys flying around you. Some guys never get used to that. Maybe Zach's that guy. I think he's going to adapt and that he'll be a whole nother chapter of Zach Wilson. Larry, don't forget the sunscreen, man. I know. Seriously. Luckily, tomorrow is a day off. I need to give myself a day off to go sombrero shopping. Where would I even get a sombrero? Look that up as soon as the show's over. Is there there's like Toys R Us. Is there a Sombreros R Us? Can I go somewhere? Where would I get a sombrero? And I'm not even trying to be funny. Does anybody know where I can find a Matt Mayoko type sombrero? I got to text Matt. Hey, Matt, how you doing? Larry, where'd you get your sombrero? Hey, new channel member. John Canalis has become a new YouTube member of the Krueg Show. Thank you, John. I always give all my new members a little clap. Just saying, hey, little shout out. Thank you, Johnny. Appreciate you. All right. 916 says 49ers sombrero. Yeah, I definitely need a 49ers sun hat. I have a hat, but my kid was working in Austin, Texas. He gave me a Texas hat. I had it on yesterday, and somebody came up to me and was like, some coach or something gave me the upside down Longhorn. He's like this instead of hook 'em horns. He was like, and I'm like, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to say? You don't like my, you don't like the Longhorns? I'm an A&M fan, and it hurts me to wear the sombrero. It hurts me to wear the Longhorn hat, but it is white and it is a good looking hat. Though I feel like when I'm wearing it, people are like redneck because I got the Texas hat on. Michael Mock says, why do you think Trey isn't getting a fair shake? I didn't say he's not getting a fair shake. It's year 3. This is the NFL. Nothing's given. Nothing is given to you. I'm not saying he's not getting a fair shake. I would like to see them thin the herd at quarterback and give him a few more reps, but it's year 3. I mean, think about where we're at. They drafted him. They gave him the job. Last year they were going with him. Now they've got all kinds of replacement options. Purdy's the number 1 guy. He is. I mean, watching these players play in practice, and to think we had many hours of Brock versus Trey is preposterous. I mean, Brock Purdy is incredibly advanced. Trey is incredibly raw. So I don't, today was stunning. I don't want to overdo it because they haven't put pads on, but he doesn't sound confident. He doesn't look confident. Go watch the film we didn't film the team session, and nobody did, and no fans were there. So there is no film of the team session, but the look on his face and the body language was atrocious. And then to watch him in the post game or post practice presser, and I'll put that out on the Krueg Show YouTube channel. You guys can check it out for yourself. I filmed it. I asked him 2 questions. I like him. That's the other thing. I really like this kid. I think he's a great kid. He's so easy to root for, but he's also a great distance away from taking that number 1 quarterback job. And I wish that he was more advanced, but he's just not. And there was a play where Sam Darnold got pushed from the pocket and had to quickly adjust and flipped it out to, I think it was CMC or Jordan Mason, in the exact same spot on the flat where Braden Willis was, put it on their hands around defenders after being pushed from the pocket. And somebody's like, man, that was impressive. And yet it was a layup, but it was still impressive because he had to kind of contort his body and get it out in the flat. But he did it, and he put it on the guy's hands. Boop, right there. The play continued. Trey's got a wide open Braden Willis. Wide open. Throws it in the dirt. Michael Alanis says, Larry, Levis is brutal. I went to the home opener in 2018, sat catty corner to the visitor's side in the nosebleeds, came home as, Levi's. I thought you were talking about Will Levis. He says, Levi's is brutal. I went to the home opener in 2018, sat in the catty corner to the visitor's side in the nosebleeds, came home as red as the flag on your wall. I know. Shame on me. I put a ton of sunscreen on, but I mean, I'm not going to make it through camp at this rate. I'm going to be burnt to a crisp. And I put a lot of lotion on. Where's my lotion? I got it here somewhere. Anyway, I put a lot of lotion on. I got to lather up. I got to get a sombrero. I don't care. It's no longer about how does it look. It's like now it's just about keeping this is my moneymaker. This is my absolute moneymaker. Stop laughing, everybody. Stop laughing. All right. So J Mill, get yourself a Maryland Terrapin hat. I have a Maryland Terrapin hat and a visor. Should I start going with the visor? Be like John Gruden? What's this one? J Mill says R.I.P. John B. John B? What happened? I don't know. I don't know who he's talking about. Forktail Devil says umbrella at least, Larry. I don't know. Seriously, something. Oh man. Now people are taking on Hensley. Let's leave Hensley alone. I called Ryan. I haven't gotten up to Rockland yet. I like Ryan. Yes, he blocked me and he blocked my kid, but I like Ryan. Ryan's a good man. Let's not rip Ryan. Ryan is a good dude. He is a good dude. He likes Trey. I like Trey. I apologize to Ryan. I'm going to take him to Pig in a Pickle. I'd like to stream again with Ryan. I think he has a good channel. I think his content's good. I haven't gotten up to Rockland, but I told him I want to come up. I want to make amends. I want to, figuratively kiss and make up. So yeah, don't rip Ryan. Don't rip Ryan. A lot of people want to rip Ryan, rip Grant, rip Lombardi, rip Jackhammer, rip. Everybody's ripping. Have you noticed that? Everybody's ripping everybody. These guys are all good people, by the way. I mean, they're not bad guys. These are all good guys. So let's not rip. And you know, if you there's a lot of bad people out there, you know. Let's not rip good people. Mike Monahan says, gotta lather that scalp, Krug. I know, seriously. I really do. Jay Davidson 124 says, is Trey struggling 2 days and 2 days in overreaction? That's a great question. Jay Davidson, that is a great question. Are we overreacting to a couple of early days in camp, or are we seeing kind of common denominators over his entire tenure here with the Niners? I'm not sure. But to me, it's not the throw at the feet of Braden Willis. It's not the airmailed throw on the sideline. It's not the throw that was 4 or 5 feet behind the receiver. It's not the inaccuracy. It's the reaction to the inaccuracy that makes me wonder if this kid who was a 1-year FCS dominator, if he has this. I mean, there's a lot of adversity in the NFL. The whole thing is adversity. So you have to believe at your core, no matter how many people are shouting, you suck, you can't do it. No matter how many doubts you may have about yourself, you have to know I'm damn good. I'm damn good. And when I see Trey right now, I'm wondering if he has that belief that he's damn good, or if it, you know, and how much did he have to compete for his role at North Dakota State? So this is a very weird situation. This is one of the biggest stories in the NFL. The Niners are a Super Bowl contender. The quarterback position is vitally important. It is stunning to what we saw today, his lack of confidence. And go watch that interview. He just didn't sound confident. He just didn't. He's a really nice guy, but he seemed really uncomfortable, really nervous, and really not confident. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I hopefully it was just a bad couple days. Michael Alanis, listen to 95.7 The Game all day at work and on the way to work. Everyone pretty much agrees. Writing is on the wall that the Trey era is over in San Francisco. Oh, my God. I mean, think about that. It's unbelievable. Somebody came up to me today and said, is it possible the 49ers would release Trey Lance? Like there wouldn't. And I'm like, I can't imagine that. If it comes down to releasing Trey Lance or paying your third quarterback $9 million, I'm saying pay the third quarterback $9 million. Stay with him. Stay with him. Do not release him. Do not release him. But I mean, the people who are the biggest Trey supporters are like, couldn't believe it today. He just seemed like he's lost the belief. He seems and it's not like he's overwhelmed with negativity. I just think that the inconsistencies that he showed are bothering him. And I don't know if I'm not saying they don't support him. I'm just saying they're treating him like a pro football player where he's, you know, it's all about what you do. The expectations. It's all about the expectations of what are you going to produce? How's it going to be? You know, damn. I do believe long-term Trey's going to get there. Why? And I've said it many times, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, and I apologize to those who have heard this. He's got it right physically. He's got it right mentally. The game means a lot to him. He loves football. This is the family business. It's going to work out. But it's not happening by Heinz Field. It's not happening by week 1. So forget that. The question is, Do they see this thing through to completion? I hope so. Always Drip 805 said, I seen the interview. Okay. And what do you think? Somebody in the chat tell me that they've seen the interview and give me your thoughts. Because he seemed really like he's lost his belief. I couldn't believe it. It was stunning to watch. Michael Miller says getting Trey off the books saved $9 million over 2 years. Oh, man. I don't even want to think about that at this point. Don't want to think about that. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. I'm going to go have a little dinner with the fam at 6 o'clock. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to Guy Haberman, who's outstanding. What's coming up on the channel? Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, Jack Hammer and I are going to stream. I'm hoping tomorrow day in the morning, me and the coach are going to stream. Sunday after practice, Grant and I are going to stream on Grant's channel. Wednesday, Grant on the next player off day, Grant and I are going to stream on my channel. All that's coming up. We had an enormous live stream last night with Vish and Jesse. Great stuff. And Jesse just made a boatload. Oh my God. People just emptied the clip. I don't know if I've ever seen more super chats than what Jesse got last night in our big show. We're going to do a Thursday night big show, me, Vish, and Jesse. And if yesterday is any indication, it's going to be a monster, baby. I mean, we got 500 people here today for me and Haberman, but we had close to 500, I believe, last night for me and Vish and Jesse. So once the season starts, that's going to be in Grant's neighborhood. It's going to be like 1,200 people in the room for Vish and Jesse and myself on a Thursday night. I'm really looking forward to it. I love talking ball with those guys. Two of my favorites. Vish and I have been streaming this entire off season. I love Vish. He's analytical. He's funny. It's good stuff. And Jesse is terrific. And I realized, and his crowd was just hammering me. And then he mentioned when he was on my channel that our crowd was hammering him. And now we got Trock saying Jesse's getting clowned hard. What? When? No, Jesse's a good guy. Mega Triumph says Jesse, Trey is the bee's knees. We got this one from Robbie439. Trey needs a motivated speech from Pasquale. Wait a second. Does Trey need a little Pasquale? Maybe I need a little Pasquale.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no.
Yeah.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner.
All right, Trey. I want you to meet my buddy Pasquale. He's got some thoughts on your practice today, and some wisdom to impart to you.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner.
Now I'm amusing only myself. Jay Mills says Don Batanti. The Trock says Vish is good, and I saw him on your show. One of the best you have. Thank you for introducing him. Yeah, Vish is great. Jesse's great too. They're both great. And we're going to get together, the three of us, for the big show every Thursday night. And I'm predicting thousands of people in that show. Dusty Gold says, Larry, you must call Flav if you have a direct line. Flav contributes cash. Okay, we'll get Flav on there. Michael Miller says, call-in show. Yeah, man, we can do a call-in show. I'd like to do a call-in show. I love taking calls. When I was on the radio, I love taking calls. Trock says Vish over Jesse, 100%. See, Jesse, everybody loves Vish. Jesse's more like me. He's more, some people love him, some people hate him. That's all right. Jay Mills says Vish is awesome. All right, couple words from our sponsors. We'll have a couple final thoughts. We'll hit a couple more chats, and then we'll bolt for the door on the Krueg Show.
New York style sausage was started over 70 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never going to deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
Hey, do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it. Guaranteed.
All right, coming down the home stretch on the Krueg Show. Robbie439 says, that's Larry before the sunburn. We got this one from Val Ramos, is a channel member. He says, great show, Larry, like always. There we go. Thank you, Val. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hope things are going well. Jay Mill says, what are the secret ingredients in the New York style sausage? What else? Melvin Crediford says, I think Trey thought he was competing for QB1, and he realized today that he's competing for QB2, and he could be QB3. Trey should just say, F it. I'm just going to do my best and let the chips fall. I'd like to see a little bit more fight. Like, you know what? They're dissing me. They don't believe in me, but I believe in me. I'm wondering how much belief he has in himself. I love the kid. I think he's a phenomenal kid. I'm rooting hard for him. But does he have the belief? Does he have that belief in himself? I'm starting to wonder. Thomas B., great to see the show again, Larry. Thank you. Thank you, Thomas. Brandon Simmons. Larry, get a sit-down interview with Brock Purdy, please. We'll work on that. I'll talk to my man, Corey. Yeah, Corey. Hey, Corey, Larry Krueger here. I'm thinking, I know the number one quarterback on the team and probably the most coveted interview is Brock. Can I get a one-on-one on my YouTube channel? Thanks. Yeah. Now, if it was based on merit, like who actually had belief in Brock before anybody else, yes, then it would be like, yes, you're a made man in Purdy land. Until then, we'll just keep asking Brock questions in the presser. But and we did do I do get some pretty good questions off in the presser, and my kid turns them into TikToks and Instagram reels and that kind of thing. And we'll put some of those out on Twitter this weekend, from the week that was. I would say we're getting some really good content out of the press conferences for sure. But once the locker room opens and we can, go back in there on a regular basis and go up to guys and say, hey man, you got 5 minutes and that kind of thing. We can do one-on-one interviews. You know me, man. I'll bring it to you. I'll bring you as many 49ers as I possibly can, and not just the stars. I have interest in everybody on this team. And there's all kinds of guys that I want to talk to this year. Dusty Gold says, don't forget Steve Young, Larry. Okay. I hear you. And Jamin Stoudemire, instead of Damon Stoudemire, Jamin Stoudemire, he says $1.99, just for the hell of it. Just $1.99. Thank you, Jamin. Thanks to all you guys. Have a great rest of your Friday. Once again, hopefully in the morning, I gotta touch base with the coach. But I'd like to get the coach on in the morning. Jackhammer tomorrow night on the channel at 8 p.m. Sunday, we're back at practice. And after practice, Grant and I will go live on his channel Wednesday, Grant and I will go live on the Krueg Show channel. Hope you're enjoying the Niner content and all the content from training camp. Love each and every one of you. If you want to buy merch, please do. Go to the store on the Krueg Show channel. Kev is working hard on the videos and still doing his summer job, doing construction management. So he's doing two things at once. We are getting close to 20,500. We just got to 20,000, but we're almost at 20,500. 20,420. 20,420. Fill in the line there if you want. Dusty Gold says, make sure you make your dermatologist appointment, Larry. Oh, God. That's all I need. We've found something on you and you're dying. Oh, please. No, we will definitely get checked out. Anyway, hey, that does it for us. Have a great weekend. We'll see you tomorrow on the Krueg Show. By the way, I'm going to appear on Dan Coach Emilio's channel after Giants Red Sox tonight. And we'll chop it up with Danny on his channel later tonight and talk a little Giants baseball at the trade deadline. Are the Giants going to get Cody Bellinger? Are they going to get Justin Verlander? Are they going to get nothing? We will talk about it later tonight. Until then, peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Careful, whatever you bring me getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle. Yeah, we ain't never fall back.